Mom gave birth to twins. One is that I have lived with my grandma in the country since I was a child, and the other is that my younger brother has been taken by them since he was a child. It wasn't until after high school that my parents took me to live with them in the city. I thought I finally had the long-awaited family love, but I didn't expect that this was the beginning of my nightmare. I was like an outsider and was ostracized by the family of three. My status in the family was not even as good as that of a dog raised by my younger brother. Until that day, my brother forced me to put the mango that I was allergic to into my mouth, saying that he would help me desensitize it. I struggled to ask my parents for help, but what I received was their cold eyes. Why are you being pretentious? Is it possible that the whole family won't even be able to eat mangoes because of you? What's the allergy? Just eat a few more times and get used to it. But they don't know that severe allergies can kill people. 1. My breathing suddenly became rapid, and I felt suffocated. Looking at the three people who were still indifferent in front of me, I stood up unsteadily and prepared to go to the house to get allergy medicine. Zhou Xinghui directly blocked my way. Brother, where are you going? I haven't finished eating the mango yet. He tried to force the remaining mango into my mouth. I struggled to resist and pushed him away. He was spoiled and had no strength since he was a child, and I was used to doing farm work in the countryside since I was a child. He was naturally no match for me. Zhou Xinghui stumbled back a few steps. The mango in his hand fell to the ground, and he looked at his parents with an aggrieved face to complain. Brother, hit me. My father stepped forward and kicked me to the ground. You uneducated thing. How dare you be rough with your brother? I fell to the ground, and my breathing became more and more rapid, and I struggled to spit out a few words in my throat. Medicine, give me allergy medicine, I will die. My mother held her brother in her arms and stared at me with disgust. Stop pretending. I've never heard that mangoes can kill people. Zhou Xinghui leaned in his mother's arms, looked at me, and said deliberately, Brother, I bought these mangoes specially for you. You can't waste them. After hearing this, my father directly picked up the mango that fell on the ground and forced it into my mouth. I closed my eyes in despair. Is this the family affection I have always longed for? My brother and I are twins. After we were born, my mother couldn't take care of the two children, so she left me, the stronger one, to live with my grandma in the countryside. My grandma is getting older and is unable to take care of me. As a result, I am always dirty and like a wild child. My friends in the same village often laugh at me because I was abandoned by my parents. From then on, I was extremely eager to live with my parents. The parents would only come back for a few days during the Chinese New Year, and the younger brother who grew up with them was like a little prince, wearing clean and beautiful clothes and holding an expensive car in his hand. And I always wore an old cotton padded jacket that was neither warm nor suitable. The only toys I had were playing in the mud with the children from the same village. When I was 7 years old, I mustered up the courage to tell my parents that I wanted to live in the city with them. My mother looked at me with disgust. Look at how you look like a country bumpkin. If others knew you were my child, you wouldn't laugh me to death. Dad also had a face full of disapproval. Do you know how expensive it is to study in the city? Your brother also has to take calligraphy lessons and piano lessons, and you want to drink the northwest wind with our family. After hearing this, I cried and threw myself into my grandma's arms. Later, my grandma scolded my parents, and they promised again and again that they would take me into the city when the economic conditions improved in a few years. I kept this promise and waited year after year until I graduated from junior high school and was admitted to the city's high school. They had no choice but to take me in. 2. The swollen throat caused by allergies made me unable to swallow, and I vomited uncontrollably. My dad immediately kicked me again when he saw this. You little bitch, who are you deliberately trying to disgust? My mother also hugged my brother and took a few steps back as if I was dirty. My vision began to become blurred, and dense red rashes appeared on my arms. My survival instinct made me reach out to them again for help. Mom, save me. My mother looked at my arms covered with red rashes, frowned, and said, Is there anything really wrong? Why don't we give him some medicine? The younger brother immediately said, I know where my brother's allergy medicine is. I'll get it. Zhou Xinghui walked into the house in 3 steps and turned into 2 steps. He walked out with the medicine in his hand and leaned over to feed it to me. I recognized that the allergy medicine in his hand was not my allergy medicine, and I pursed my lips to resist. Zhou Xinghui directly grabbed my chin, stuffed the medicine into my mouth, and whispered in my ear, Zhou Zisheng, you can't blame me. Who told you to leave me alone in the countryside and insist on coming over to compete with me for your parents' favor? Today I will make you regret it. When I first came to the city to study in high school, because the education gap between rural and urban areas was so big, my grades were mediocre and unremarkable. In addition, I was exposed to wind and sun in the countryside, and my whole body was gray. Therefore, my parents and Zhou Xinghui both felt that I was embarrassed and did not want to have anything to do with me outside. Even at the opening ceremony, they only attended Zhou Xinghui's. In order to make my parents pay more attention to me, I studied hard day and night and finally got the first place in my grade in the final exam of my first year of high school. The school commended me in public and gave me a scholarship. My parents' eyes finally shifted from Zhou Xinghui to me, and they said to me like they were giving alms, Your dad and I will accompany you to the opening ceremony of the second year of high school. This sentence alone made me ecstatic. I thought that as long as I continued to work hard, one day my parents would like me as much as they like my younger brother. I never thought about arguing with Zhou Xinghui. I just wanted to see my existence in the eyes of my parents. They are also my parents. But I didn't expect that just because of this, Zhou Xinghui would have the intention to kill me. My eyes were full of unwilling hatred, and I bit Zhou Xinghui's finger that gave me the medicine. Zhou Xinghui immediately screamed, "Ah, my hand." When my parents saw this, they immediately slapped my face several times, opened my chin, and pulled out Zhou Xinghui's fingers. After seeing the bright red tooth marks on his fingers, my father kicked me a few more times without sparing any effort and roared, "Beast, Xiaowei is your biological brother. How could you be so cruel?" "Yes, he is my biological brother. He is a blood relative of my mother, but he wants my life." The mother held her brother's hand anxiously and found alcohol and band-aids to disinfect and bandage him. My father also hurriedly came over to ask for help. The three of them were gathered together, and no one noticed me dying on the ground. The younger brother leaned in his mother's arms with a grieved face. "Mom, I have good intentions. How could my brother do this to me?" My mother glared at me angrily and said, "This beast has grown up in the countryside and has been used to being wild for a long time. I will send him back to the countryside to farm now." Dad agreed. Yes, with such a vicious mind, it would be a disaster to stay with him. It is better to let him stay in the country for the rest of his life. As he said that, he reached out and pulled me up from the ground. My eyes were closed tightly, my whole body was twitching and shaking, and I couldn't stand up at all. As soon as his hand loosened, I fell straight down again. 3. Mom took a glass of water and poured it on my face. "Don't pretend to be dead here as soon as you hear that you're going to the countryside." I was lying on the ground motionless, and even my breathing was weak. "Don't think that I will spare you if you do this. I will definitely send you back today, you beast." My dad directly took my arm, dragged me halfway downstairs, and then stuffed me into the trunk of the car. This isn't the first time I've been in the trunk. The first time I lay in the trunk was when they picked me up from the countryside and brought me to the city. I sat in the back seat with Zhou Xinghui at first. In the middle of the trip, Zhou Xinghui got sleepy. He squirmed in the seat and couldn't sleep well. Finally, he pouted and suggested to his parents that they let me lie down in the trunk so that he could stretch out his legs and sleep more comfortably this time. Then my parents stopped the car and asked me to lie in the trunk. For 5 hours, I curled up into a small ball and lay motionless in it. But at that time, my heart was full of hope. I felt that my wish that I had been looking forward to for more than 10 years had finally come true. I was no longer a wild child without parents. But now I feel really tired. If I could die like this, it might be a relief for me. The moment the back compartment closed, I closed my eyes forever. It turns out that people really have souls after death. My soul left my body and floated into the car, watching the family of 3 chatting and laughing. Zhou Xinghui leaned against his mother and said, "Mom, there is something about my brother that I don't know whether I should tell you." Mother reached out and brushed his hair, and her voice was gentler than when she was facing me. "You kid! What can't you say to your mother?" Zhou Xinghui murmured in a low voice. "I heard others say that my first place in the final grade this time was plagiarized." My mother said angrily, "I didn't expect that he would dare to plagiarize. I think he really wants to embarrass me." Dad was also full of anger. "That little bastard is bad character and is hopeless. When we send him back this time, we will let him take care of my mother in her hometown until he is old enough. This is his only use." The grades I earned by studying day and night were completely denied by them just because of Zhou Xinghui's casual rumor. Maybe to them, I am not their child, just a drag, and now they finally have an excuse to get rid of me as a drag. During the 800-kilometer journey, they stopped at rest areas twice, but no one thought to go to the trunk to check on me. In their words, I just have a bad life. I have been thick-skinned since I was a child, so nothing will happen to me. But this time they were wrong. I was a little curious about how they would react when they found out that my body was already cold. Finally, before dark, they drove back to their hometown, and the car parked in front of their house. Grandma had silver hair and walked out of the house shakily with a cane. When they saw it was my dad and the others, their cloudy eyes couldn't help but reveal surprise. "Ningda, why are you back?" My dad said directly, "Mom, let's send that boy Jisheng back and let him stay with you from now on to take care of you in your old age on our behalf. Don't Jisheng still need to study and go to school? Besides, he is still so young. Now is the time to go out and have fun." Grandma said with a smile, "As long as he comes back to spend time with me, an old woman, during the New Year holidays, I will be happy." My mother said with a look of disgust, "He has been spoiled by you since he was a child. His conduct is really bad. He not only bullied Xiaowei, but also cheated in school. We have decided to let him drop out of school and stay with you to provide for you in your old age." "Impossible. You must have made a mistake. Zisheng would never do such a thing." She looked around and didn't see me, so she turned to her father and asked, "Where's Zisheng? I want to hear what he said, personally." My father opened the trunk of the car, saw that I was lying there motionless, and patted my cheek hard. "Get up. Don't pretend to be dead." Finally, he noticed something was wrong with me and pulled me out of the trunk in a panic. My stiff body fell in front of everyone. 4. My father reached out his hand tremblingly, probed the tip of my nose, and said in horror, He's not breathing." My mother also jumped in front of me to check my physical condition. I had been dead for 7 or 8 hours at this time. My body had cooled down, my lips were purple, and even the red rashes on my arms caused by allergies had turned a cold purple color, which was particularly scary. After my mother saw my condition clearly, she was so frightened that she could not speak clearly. How could Jishang? How could he die? When Grandma saw this, she couldn't hold the crutch in her hand steadily. She rushed towards me unsteadily and fell to the ground. My father hurried over and helped Grandma up. Mom, be careful. How are you? Did you fall anywhere? Grandma waved away my father's hand, rushed to me, and kept touching my face. Jishang, what's wrong with you? Open your eyes and look at Grandma. 2 lines of clear tears fell from Grandma's cloudy eyes. Jishang, my grandson. If there is anyone in this world who treats me sincerely, it must be my grandma. My soul floated to my grandma, and I raised my hand to wipe away her tears, but my fingers penetrated directly. I am a dead person now, and can do nothing but watch my grandma cry for me at her age. Grandma held my stiff body, looked at my father and mother, and asked, "Did you kill my grandson?" The 2 of them couldn't afford to be charged with such a big crime as murder. The father hurriedly explained, "Mom, I didn't. Jishang is my son. How could I harm him?" The mother also hurriedly denied. "Yes, it was an accident. There is no way we could harm him." Grandma stepped closer and looked at the 2 of them. "Accident? How come my eldest grandson, who is so good, died in an accident? Tell me what an accident is." "You stuffed him into the trunk and suffocated him to death." The father hurriedly shook his head and said, "Mom, I just want to teach him a lesson. I didn't mean to harm him. Besides, there are gaps in the trunk. It's absolutely impossible to suffocate someone to death." Grandma roared, "Then tell me how Jishang died." The father and mother thought about the matter from beginning to end, and finally turned their attention to Zhou Xinghui, whose face was pale next to them. The 2 of them asked at the same time, "Didn't you say that allergies can't kill people? Didn't you give Jishang allergy medicine?" Zhou Xinghui was frightened by my body, and he gave incoherent answers to his parents' questions. "I don't know, I really don't know. I didn't want to kill him." His original intention was just to torture me and send me back to my hometown, so that no one would ever compete with him for my parents' favor. Taking my life may indeed not be his intention. But is it manslaughter, not murder? Seeing that none of the 3 of them could tell me the specific cause of my death, Grandma took out her elderly mobile phone from her pocket and wanted to call the police. My father hurried over and held down Grandma's wrist. "Mom, you can't call the police. You can't call the police." My mother also went over to persuade me and said, "Mom, even if Jishang died accidentally, if the police investigate, Mingda and I will be connected. Do you want to send Mingda and I to prison?" Zhou Xinghui also knelt beside his grandma, crying and pleading, "Grandma, please don't call the police. If my parents go to jail, then I will be an orphan." 5. Seeing her son and daughter-in-law crying in front of her, Grandma raised her hand angrily and slapped each of them, saying sadly, "Tiger poison doesn't even eat its seeds. How could you do such an unscrupulous thing?" The father knelt down in front of Grandma honestly. "Mom, Jishang's death was really an accident. None of us wanted it, but he is already dead. There is no need to involve us anymore. My son still wants to take care of you until his death." "Mom, you only have one son, Mingda. Do you want your only son to go to jail?" "Grandma, my brother is your grandson, and I am also your grandson. You can't treat him the same, and only think of him in your heart." Under the crying pleas of the 3 of them, Grandma finally loosened her grip on the phone, looked at her father feebly, and asked, "Then what are you going to do?" They buried him secretly, and then announced that he died of an illness. Grandma looked at her mother and brother again, and asked them for their opinions again. They all agreed with my father's method, which was to drag my body to the back mountain and bury it, so that I could quietly disappear from this world. After Grandma's eyes turned back and forth on them a few times, she didn't agree or disagree. She just asked my father to carry my body into the house and put it on the bed. Indoor. The 3 of them gathered around my body bed, waiting quietly for Grandma to speak. Grandma tremblingly took out a worn diary from the cabinet in the room and handed it to her father. "I found this when I was cleaning up the house, after Jishang left with you." My father took the diary and opened the cover with a corner missing. "I hate Shachong. They say I am a wild child that my parents don't want. I'm not. My parents won't want me. I really hope I can live with my parents soon." Then he opened the second chapter. Grandma said that my parents would have to wait until they had money before they could take me to live in the city. But what exactly does it mean to be rich? Obviously, they already drive a 4-wheeled car. Can't they still afford me? In fact, I can eat very little. I don't want to be laughed at by others anymore, because I don't have parents. Article 3. When will my parents come to pick me up? I really want to live with them. Every time I ask my grandma, she says it's fast. But this one is fast, but it's really not fast at all. I envy my brother so much. He can always be with his parents. Article 4. I feel like my parents have forgotten me. Maybe they no longer plan to take me to the city. Why? Is it because I'm not good? Adults say they most like children who are obedient and study well. From now on, I will be obedient and study hard, so that my parents will like me. I wrote countless articles on such days, and each article conveyed a message. That is, I longed for the love of my parents and longed for family reunion. Until I turned to the last entry in my diary. It was the night before I was admitted to high school, and they came to pick me up and go to the city. I was so excited that I couldn't sleep and wrote this diary. I was admitted to the city's high school, and I could finally live with my parents and brother. Although we have been separated for 16 years, I will definitely integrate into them as soon as possible. I want to work hard to be a good son and a good brother. Below is a simple drawing I drew of a family of 4. After my father and parents read all of my diary, they both fell into silence and raised their hands to caress the 4 simple figures. 6. Grandma spoke in a deep voice from the side. When you gave birth to twins and said you couldn't take care of 2 children, you asked me to take care of one for you. I agreed, but I didn't expect that this decision would directly cause Jishang to lose the love of his parents for 16 years. Ever since he became sensible, Jishang has been looking forward to living with you all the time and enjoying the company of his family. But what about you? But you always make excuses and say you are busy, as if he is not your biological child. He has been looking forward to and waiting for more than 10 years and finally came to you, but he was killed by you in just 1 year. Aren't your consciences afraid of pain? When you dream back at midnight, aren't you afraid that Jishang will come to ask for your life? Facing my grandma's tearful questioning, my mother finally couldn't help but knelt down in front of my bed. Jishang, my son, my mother is sorry for you. The father also collapsed and shouted. What have I done? I killed my own son. Grandma raised her hand to wipe away the tears on her face. Jishang, this kid, had a very hard life, and he never had a good life following an old woman like me. After I came to you, not only did I not enjoy the family affection I have always longed for, but I was killed by you. Now you still want him to die like this for no reason. Are you worthy of being parents? My parents held my body and cried until they couldn't stop crying. Maybe they regretted it at this moment, but things have already happened, so what's the use of belated regret? Several people held my body, like this until dawn. Zhou wiped away the tears on his face and looked at his grandma and said, Mom, now we really know that we were wrong, but Jishang is dead. I will find an eminent monk to give Jishang a blessing and ensure that he will be safe and smooth in his next life. Grandma said in a numb voice, You still don't want to take the responsibility for his death, do you? The mother's voice was hoarse and she said, Mom, how do you want us to bear it? Do you have to send us all to prison to make you happy? As soon as he finished speaking, the police siren suddenly sounded outside the door. The 3 people in the room all looked at Grandma and asked in shock, Did you call the police? There is a soul after death. Jishang may be watching us now. I can't let him die in such an unknown way. Since you can't make up your mind, let me, an old woman, help you. Zhou Xinghui immediately screamed, Grandma, how can you be so partial? You're going to send our whole family to death. Soon the police broke in, and after seeing the bodies inside the house, they quickly controlled the 3 of them, took out handcuffs, cuffed them, and took them to the police car. Then he looked at Grandma and asked, Old man, as the caller, you also need to go to the police station with us. Grandma nodded, walked to my body, and touched my cheek reluctantly. Jishang, Grandma is here to seek justice for you. Hearing my grandma's words, my soul floating in the air couldn't help but shed tears. After all, there is someone in this world who loves me. My soul followed my grandma into the police car. When I saw her holding a down jacket that I once wore and touching it carefully, I couldn't help but feel sad in my heart. My grandma has been frugal all her life and is good at tailoring. From the time I can remember, she basically made all the clothes I wore. But the old lady's taste is of course not as good as the fashions, and she always likes to make clothes 2 sizes larger, saying that she can wear them for 2 more years. 7. As I grew older, the friends around me always made comments about me being very tacky and ugly. Gradually, I felt conflicted in my heart when Grandma once again took out the cotton-padded jacket that she had given me personally. I refused grumpily and threw the cotton-padded jacket on the ground. I don't want to wear this. I'm going to buy new clothes on the street. Grandma picked up the cotton clothes on the ground and coaxed me. The clothes on the street are so expensive. Any piece of clothing costs $200 to $300. This dress made by Grandma is also very warm. But at that time, I already had self-esteem and a desire to compare. I felt aggrieved. Why did my brother dress like a little prince every time he came back, but I could only wear these ugly clothes forever? I cried for a long time. That afternoon, my grandma took me on an hour's walk to the street and bought me the little prince-like down jacket that I longed for. Although he is not as good-looking as his younger brother, he was already the best in my heart at that time. This dress is also the one I have worn the longest and my favorite. The police car arrives at the police station. The 3 of them, parents and brother, were taken into 3 interrogation rooms for interrogation. This also ensured that there was no possibility of collusion among them. I drifted into my brother's interrogation room and watched him sit on a chair with his hands cuffed and being interrogated by the police. Ask him to tell you everything that happened last night in detail. At first, the younger brother tried to hide it, but the police soon discovered the loopholes in her words and asked him to correct his attitude and cooperate with the investigation. After all, Zhou Xinghui was still young and could not withstand the police's interrogation. He quickly broke down in his heart and told everything he had done. He was jealous that I had ranked first in my grade in my final exams, and he was also afraid that if I continued like this, I would take away my parents' attention and love. He wanted to drive me back to the countryside, but after he mentioned it to his parents several times in a subtle way, they ignored him. He accidentally read about the dangers of allergies from the internet. One of them is cerebral hypoxia, which can damage brain cells and cause permanent neurological damage. Then he thought about my mango allergy. As long as I become a fool and not as smart as him, I will never be a threat to him. He bought mangoes and force-fed them to me on the pretext that he wanted to desensitize me. Including the fact that he changed my allergy medicine, he also truthfully explained this matter. Regarding the process of my death, the three people's testimonies were consistent, without any discrepancies. After forensic identification, the cause of my death was respiratory obstruction and circulatory system failure caused by severe allergies. I was also stuffed into a trunk with thin air, which directly caused me to suffocate. According to the seriousness of the circumstances, my father and brother both force-fed me mangoes that I was allergic to. Although they were not trying to kill me, they were the main cause of my death. Both of them will be prosecuted for manslaughter. My mother was not directly involved in my death and could only be regarded as a cold-blooded bystander, so she was released after being detained for 3 days. The first thing after being released was that my mother asked to see her brother. She saw her brother's testimony, and she couldn't believe that her brother, who had been growing up beside her, would deliberately murder me. In the detention room, the mother and brother looked at each other through an iron fence. During the few days that Zhou Xinhui was in the detention room, he couldn't eat well or sleep well, and he was even more afraid of being sentenced. When he saw his mother, he cried for help. "Mom, I don't want to stay here anymore. Please find a way to get me out." The mother clenched the testimony in her hand, looked at her brother, and asked, "Shall we? Tell mother. What is written on it is not true. You gave Zhishang mangoes not to desensitize him, but to deliberately murder him." 8. The words were clearly written in black and white, and it was in the police station. Naturally, Zhou Xinhui did not dare to deny what he had done. His eyes evaded. "Mom, I just want to teach him a lesson. I really didn't want to kill him." This sentence gave her mother the answer, and she asked Zhou Xinhui, "Zhishang is your brother. How could you do such a thing? You have grown up with us since you were a child. Your father and I have given you all our care and love. You have already received so much more than Zhishang. Why are you so greedy? Just because your father and I care a little about Zhishang, you want to harm him?" Zhou Xinhui grew up with his parents holding him in the palm of his hand. Now, when his mother scolded him, he felt aggrieved and scared and roared. "If you're to blame, it's you and Dad. Since I've been given exclusive favor for 16 years, why did you bring Zhishang back? Why did you let him come back to fight for everything from me? I don't allow him to take away even a little bit of love and care." Seeing that the son she had loved since childhood turned into what he is now, the mother's eyes were filled with regret. "Shall we? You really disappoint your mother." The mother walked out of the police station alone and returned home. The house was still in the same mess as when we left, and there were still mangoes and water stains on the floor that I spit out. Mother stood in front of the floor and looked at it for a long time, and then walked into my room step by step. The house has 3 bedrooms and 1 living room, but before I came, the other room was Zhou Xinghui's dressing room. After I came, Zhou Xinhui was still unwilling to give up his cloakroom, so the room was divided into 2. One half was my bedroom, and the other half continued to be used as a cloakroom. Therefore, my room is extremely small and cramped, with only room for a bed. Mother sat on the bed and began to think, why did things become like this? From the moment she got pregnant and found out she was carrying twins, she had always prepared double things. The love in her heart for both children was equal. But after the child was born, it was too tiring to take care of 2 children. As a last resort, she sent one of the children back to her hometown. She was extremely distraught and told herself that this was only temporary. When the child was older and less tiring to carry, she would take the child back immediately. But this idea became weaker and weaker as time went by, and she poured all her love and good expectations for the future into Xiaowei. Even when I returned to my hometown and saw Zhishang, who was as muddy as a child, I couldn't help but feel disgust in my heart. Perhaps from that moment, from the moment her heart turned aside, today's tragedy was destined. The mother's eyes shed tears of great regret. If God could give her a chance to do it again, she would take both children with her no matter how difficult it was. Both of them were children she gave birth to after 10 months of hard work. I was floating in midair, looking at my mother's remorseful expression with tears streaming down her face, and I didn't feel much relieved. In this battle of family affection, there is no winner. My body was brought back from the police station by my grandmother. After she cremated me, my ashes were buried in a sunflower field. "My poor grandson, you have suffered so much in this life. I hope you can be reborn in a family full of love and happiness in the next life." The news of my death was announced by the police and spread throughout the society. This caused many righteous people to strongly condemn my parents on the internet. My mother suffered unprecedented cyber violence. My home address was revealed, and red paint was splashed on the walls with the words "partial parent" and "unworthy of being a human being" written all over it. The door was filled with paper money and reeds. Every day when I walk on the street, unknown people will smash rotten eggs and rotten vegetables. The company she worked for also encountered strong resistance from netizens. In the end, the company could not bear the online violence and fire her. The mother suffered from severe depression. She would spend the rest of her life in pain. The news of my death also caused a turmoil in the school. The school even set up a department to pay attention to the physical and mental health of the children's families. Teachers and classmates spontaneously organized and came to my hometown to visit me. My grave is filled with all kinds of blessing cards from my classmates for my future life, as well as many kinds of delicacies that I have never eaten before. A gust of wind blew, and the sunflowers in the flower field swayed in the wind, and my soul gradually dissipated in the wind. In the next life, I hope to meet a pair of parents who truly love me. 3 months later, Zhou Mingde and Zhou Xinghui were sentenced to 3 and 5 years in prison respectively for manslaughter. Life in prison is also a new torture for them. Over.